5 times, the hero was actually wrong, and the villain was right. You've been rooting for the wrong character your entire life. In 5 different animated movies, the hero is actually terrible, and the villain is the only one talking sense. And I'm about to prove it. Let's go. Let's start with the movie nobody wants to admit this about, Finding Nemo. Marlin is the hero. He loves his son. He's trying to protect him. Sounds good, right? Except Marlin is a helicopter parent from hell. Here's what happened. Coral wanted to explore the coral reef with their eggs. Marlin said no, it's too dangerous. Coral went anyway and got killed by a barracuda.
Coral, get inside the house, Coral. No, Coral, don't. They'll be fine. Just get inside, you, right now.
So, Marlin spent the entire movie traumatized and overprotective. And he made Nemo's life miserable because of it. Nemo couldn't go to school, couldn't explore, couldn't be a normal fish. His entire childhood was controlled by his father's anxiety. And then, the one time Nemo disobeys and explores, he gets captured. And whose fault is that? Marlin's. His obsessive need to control and protect his son directly caused Nemo's kidnapping. And the villain, Bruce the shark and his shark friends, they're actually reasonable? They're reformed vegetarians trying to help Marlin find his son. They're not the problem. The real villain is Marlin's anxiety disorder wrapped up as parenting. His protection ruined his son's childhood. The villain of that movie isn't the barracuda. It's Marlin's parenting. The Lion King. The hero, Simba. The villain, Scar. Here's what actually happened. A stampede killed Mufasa. Was it Scar's fault directly? No. Did Scar cause the stampede? Actually, yes, he did orchestrate it. But here's where Simba becomes the problem. Scar tells Simba that he caused the stampede, that his father died because of him.
But the king is dead. And if it weren't for you, he'd still be alive.
And instead of dealing with his trauma like an adult, Simba runs away. He abandons the entire kingdom and lets Scar take over. For years. Simba could have come back, could have questioned Scar, could have fought him years earlier. Instead, he ran away like a coward and let his kingdom burn. Scar was a terrible ruler, sure, but Simba's abandonment enabled that destruction. And here's the wild part. Scar was right about Simba. Scar said,
What will your mother think?
What am I gonna do?
Run away, Simba. Run. Run away and never return.
And Simba listened. Scar said, Your father's death was your fault. And Simba believed him. Scar manipulated him perfectly because Simba was weak and traumatized. The villain wasn't wrong about Simba being a coward. The hero was a coward. The villain just exploited it. Score, villain was right. Simba was exactly as weak as Scar said. Frozen. The villain, Hans. The hero, Elsa. Everyone focuses on Hans being a traitor. But let's rewind. Hans warned Anna, don't marry someone you just met. That's insane. Don't rush into a marriage with a stranger. And he was right. Anna literally proposed to someone she knew for 6 hours. That's not romantic. That's delusional. And Hans called her out on it. But here's where Elsa is actually the villain of her own movie. She isolated herself for 13 years because she was afraid of her powers. Instead of learning to control her magic, she locked herself away. And the moment she had to deal with her emotions, she froze an entire kingdom. Elsa's fear and avoidance directly caused a winter apocalypse. Anna's rushed marriage to a stranger who warned against rushed marriages? That's less destructive than Elsa's decades of emotional avoidance. Hans said, don't marry someone you just met. He was right. Elsa should have said, let me learn to control my powers instead of hiding. But she didn't. The hero, Elsa, is the one who created the actual disaster through fear and avoidance. Score? The villain had a point. Hans was right about Anna being reckless. Ratatouille, the villain. Chef Skinner, the hero. Remy the rat. Let's be clear, a rat is cooking in a 5-star restaurant. Skinner's entire concern was legitimate. Health codes exist for a reason. A rat in a kitchen is a disease vector. This isn't opinion. This is food safety law. And Skinner, as a restaurant owner, has legal liability for allowing a rodent to prepare food. Yes, Remy is talented. Yes, the food is good. But that doesn't change the fact that a rat should not be cooking. The hero of this movie works around the most basic food safety violation possible, and the villain, Skinner, is literally just trying to run a restaurant legally and successfully. Skinner's only mistake was being motivated by money and greed. But his actual point, "We cannot have a rat cooking," is 100% valid. He's not wrong. He's just portrayed as the villain because we're watching from Remy's perspective. If the movie was told from Skinner's perspective, he'd be the hero trying to maintain standards while a rat ruins his business. Score? Villain was right. Skinner had legitimate health and legal concerns. Tangled. The villain, Mother Gothel. The hero, Rapunzel. Okay, yes, Mother Gothel was emotionally abusive and manipulative. That's true. She isolated Rapunzel and gaslit her. I'm not defending her tactics. But Gothel's core warning was accurate. The world outside the tower is dangerous for Rapunzel.
Rapunzel, we're done talking about this.
Trust me.
Rapunzel.
I know what
Rapunzel.
Oh, come on.
Enough of the lights, Rapunzel! You are not leaving this tower! Ever!
And she left anyway against advice and got immediately assaulted, manipulated, and endangered. Rapunzel left the tower and within hours was being manipulated by a thief she'd just met. She was terrified, confused, and completely unprepared for the world. Gothel literally said, "People will hurt you." And Rapunzel proved that immediately true. The difference is that Gothel's solution was imprisonment, while the actual answer was education and gradual exposure. But her core warning, "The world will hurt you, you're not ready," was right. Rapunzel's solution was to ignore all warnings and throw herself into danger with a criminal. And she survived only because the criminal happened to develop feelings for her. If Flynn hadn't caught feelings, Rapunzel would have been dead, or worse. Mother Gothel's methods were wrong, but her point about the world being dangerous, Rapunzel immediately validated that. Score? The villain had a point. The world was dangerous, and Rapunzel wasn't ready. So, here's the pattern. In these 5 movies, the heroes aren't actually heroic. They're just the perspective we're following. Marlin's overprotection caused his son's kidnapping. Simba's cowardice let a tyrant rule. Elsa's fear froze an entire kingdom. Rapunzel wasn't ready for the world and got immediately endangered. And Skinner, man, he was just trying to run a restaurant while a rat cooked in it. The villains weren't always right, but the heroes weren't always right either. And that's more interesting than good versus evil. Which one surprised you the most? Drop a comment. And before you tell me, but Marlin loves Nemo. Well, yes, he does. That doesn't mean his parenting wasn't controlling and harmful. You can love someone and still be wrong about how you raised them. Subscribe if you think heroes are more complicated than we give them credit for, and let's debate this in the comments. Fight, fight, fight!